Okay. I am the executive director for African Center for Education Development, and we have the CLEDA-LISA, and we're happy to be a member and happy to have access fund for the Teach Fund project, which we implemented on the impact of COVID-19 on businesses in Kaduna State. So our project focused specifically on Kaduna State. So I will be sharing briefly what the project was about and the findings that we had. So following the outbreak of
Daniels, can you, we're seeing the presenter view rather than the slide. So if you share a different, there we go. And then.
Does this help?
That helps. And then can you, yeah, play. Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so we looked at the impact of COVID-19 on businesses in Kaduna State. And some of the few things that was leading to this was the outbreak of COVID-19. So the outbreak of COVID-19 brought about the need to, the outbreak of COVID-19 destabilized the economy, destabilized education, destabilized virtually every section of human living. And there was a need for us to begin to understand its impact and how can we forge ahead in terms of businesses in the state, because people lost businesses. So there was also loss of businesses and people got unemployed globally. And we wanted to look at that in the context of our state, that's Kaduna State. And we wanted to be able to see how can we do a research that can produce data to inform decisions and also create a kind of roadmap to inform policies in the state. So the Teach Fund was funded by LISA 2020 through USAID, and we worked with the National Bureau of Statistics. We also worked with Kaduna State's Ministry for Business, Business Innovation and Technology, which is the which is the ministry in the government that oversees all business activities in Kaduna State. We also worked with the Kaduna State Bureau of Statistics, which is the state's branch of the National Bureau. We worked also with 5 institutions in Kaduna State from where we drew our students from. We had the University of Kaduna State University, we had Ahmadu Bello University, we had the Nigerian Defense Academy, we had CAT Poly. And with respect to the benefit of the project, so we categorized the benefit of the project in 2 ways. The first way was for our lab. So the project helped to build capacities of, helped to build our capacity as a lab to be able to conduct researches. This was about the first research that we were conducting at this scale. So the project provided us the opportunity to build our capacity, and also for the students that we worked with. The project provided the opportunity for them to be engaged practically and also be able to bridge the gap between what they learned in school, I mean, the theory and the practice. So our students were very supportive in terms of the data collection, and also through the data analysis to the students were also given opportunity to participate effectively all through the process. And then for our partners, the project provided the needed data that was needed to inform programs and inform policy. Prior to this time, the state didn't have any data in terms of business and the impact of COVID on businesses in the states. So navigating through policies and program around COVID was something they did without data. So the project provided data for them to be able to know what the gap was and what the issue was. So for the executive summary, the project studied the economic impact of COVID-19 on businesses in the state, that's in Kaduna State, Nigeria, in order to provide data to inform policy and programs. So using business establishment frame from Kaduna State Bureau of Statistics. So the Bureau of Statistics in Kaduna is the arm that is in charge of all the data of the state. So we got the frame, the establishment frame from Kaduna State Bureau of Statistics. We used the quantitative approach of data collection to sample and interview a total of 348 small businesses. We had targeted 360, but only 360 and 348 responded. So the findings from the data showed a sizable decrease in business operation, production level, and quality of sales. And also it shows a reduced investment opportunity to the effect of COVID-19. So what that entails is that we found out that the business opportunity due to COVID-19 had drastically reduced. Out of the 53 business owners who indicated awareness of any government intervention efforts to support businesses in the state, only 2.3% benefited from any form of government interventions. So the study showed us that a large population of the business owners were not actually benefiting from any form of government intervention. So our objectives, we went on the study with just 3 objectives or major objectives. And one of the objectives was to assess the economic impact of COVID-19 on small businesses. The second objective was to develop a roadmap for implementation of economic intervention for small-scale businesses. And then the third one was to improve the capacity of researchers and statisticians in conducting surveys and generating quality data in research to inform policy and practice. The methodology we used a qualitative approach of data collection. We worked with Kaduna State Bureau of Statistics, which already had an existing business establishment frame that was disaggregated by sectors. The frame served as pool from which the sample was drawn using probability proportional to size across the sectors. The sectors are then categorized into manufacturing and non-manufacturing. We had a total of 360 small businesses, which we had initially planned to survey, and which was used by random sampling, which was selected via random sampling. But we did not achieve 100% response rate. We had a 96.7% response rate. And only businesses that are registered with Kaduna State. So we had a criteria for what we defined. We had our own definition of small businesses, and only businesses that were registered, only small businesses that were registered with Kaduna State Ministry of Business, Innovation and Technology or the Corporate Affairs Commission of Nigeria was considered for this survey. The team were trained and comprised of teams and 3 coordinators, comprised of 6 teams and 3 coordinators. Each team had 1 supervisor and 2 interviewers. The interviewers reported to their supervisor, while supervisor reported directly to the coordinator. The field coordinator reported to the principal investigator in all administrative and logistics matters. So we used electronic version. An electronic version of the questionnaire was designed in the Android phones, was designed, and inbuilt quality check algorithms. This helped to reduce errors from the enumerators. Data auditors, which were supported by the Kaduna State Bureau of Statistics, was on ground to receive the data and run an error workflow on the data. We had 3 days workshop to organize for the technical working team to design the instruments and pre-test them. And then we had 5 days training for field data collectors and supervisors. And then we also had 1 day pre-test of the survey instruments to ensure its functionality. After the analysis, after the data collection, the data was downloaded and cleaned, and cleaning process was conducted and made ready for the analysis. Tables were generated using SPSS, and from there it was reported. So these are the major findings. These are just selected findings that we have. When it comes to the characteristics of businesses in Kaduna State, so we see that majority of the businesses in Kaduna State is sole proprietorship. And then we saw that when it came to access of electricity, we saw the percentage, we saw a very high number of people that were not able to access electricity. And when it came to the amount spent on power consumption, businesses spent so high on power consumption as indicated here. And on economic implication of running the alternative power in a week. So because they didn't have electricity, most of the businesses resorted to alternative power. And we found out that they were spending so high on alternative sources of electricity. On proportion of businesses that reported in change in operation, we saw that 82% of the businesses reported that they had change in their business operation. So, looking at those data, still on data, we saw that 6 out of every 10 businesses interviewed indicated that business have experienced decrease in production of goods and services. And then we also saw that only 55% of businesses are aware of any government intervention. And out of the 53%, only 2.3% benefited from those interventions. Then we saw that 76.3% have recorded decrease in sales compared to pre-COVID era. And we also saw that the COVID effect have caused over 50% of businesses to lose above 50% of their entire revenue. 47.1% of businesses are aware of businesses that have closed permanently. So 47.1% of business owners that was enumerated agreed to say, agreed that they know someone or know another business that have permanently closed down. So what are the challenges in the context of our project? We had inexperience and we had bureaucracy. So for inexperience, this was the first time for the lab to be holding a research of that magnitude. So we didn't have sufficient experience as to what to do in totality. And that was the first time, and it was part of the goal of the lab to build the capacity of its member. So we didn't have sufficient experience. Another challenge we had was bureaucracy. In the course of our project, there was a change in leadership in the Kaduna State Bureau of Statistics. So because there is a change, the new leadership coming in took a very long time to understudy what his predecessor had done, and before they were able to catch up with speed to continue other processes. So that created a whole lot of, it created a lot of gap in our timeline and created some kind of rift for us. And then insecurity in Kaduna State. So there was within that period, there was some level of insecurity with kidnapping and a whole lot that was going on in Kaduna State, which warranted us to be cautious and ensuring safety first. So for the conclusion, the study investigated the impact of COVID and how that has had the impact in the economy of Kaduna State. And we realized, or we come to agree, that any impact of COVID in the state in terms of the economy of the state is not just going to affect Kaduna State, because Kaduna is like the big brother in northern Nigeria, and it's going to spread from Kaduna to other parts of the state. And we gave a few recommendations. So we've recommended stringent microeconomic, monetary, and fiscal policies that must be implemented to soften the harshened economic effect of the pandemic on majorly the small scale businesses. And also we recommended that the government should create more awareness, because businesses don't even know that governments have interventions for businesses or business owners in the state. So thank you for listening, and I would respond to any question if there is.
Daniels, thank you so much for your presentation and for sharing that with us. Does anyone have any questions or any comments about this?
I see a question about sharing the slide. Yes, we will share the slide, and we also have the report. The report is available. We will also be happy to share the report with everyone. Thank you.
So thank you, Daniels. Thank you for the excellent presentation. My question is about how, if who received the report, and how do you think that they are how was it received by them? I mean, how are they acting on it? Are they doing anything to act on your findings or conclusions or recommendations?
The report was produced by the Kaduna State Bureau of Statistics, which is the data hub for the states. So we're excited that for once, the states have recognized this data not as a partner data, but as their own data. So the states have accepted the data as their own data, and that is something very important for us because decisions are made from state data. And we're happy that we were able to get the states to accept ownership of the data. The other thing that we are currently working on is to have a meeting with the Kaduna State Ministry for Business Innovation. They also had a change in leadership. So, like I mentioned about the bureaucracy, so Kaduna State Bureau of Statistics had a change in leadership. Now we just have another change in leadership by the Kaduna State Ministry for Business Innovation. So it's been a kind of challenge to be able to, we had already built relationship with the past leader, the commissioner. Now we have a new commissioner. I don't even know the new commissioner, but we had a very good working relationship with the old commissioner, which gave us very ample opportunity. So we are beginning afresh to build the relationship with the new commissioner. And once we establish that relationship, we will be able to get involved and see how we can get them to begin something around this. So these are the two major players for our project. The next thing we are looking at how we are going to have publications from this research. So we are already beginning to think towards publications, which I will be super happy if there's anyone from amongst us who will give us a lead towards any publication. Thank you. Eric, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you. And
I just want to comment very quickly. That's a huge issue across the Peach Fund projects is when leadership roles change in our partner organizations. So I think that's one of the learning areas that would be very important in this network moving forward is how do you establish a relationship when there's been a change in leadership in the organizations you work with. Yeah. I see Olubusoye had his hand up.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you, Daniel, for that nice presentation. Maybe 3 quick questions. You may not necessarily answer them. One is, did you get any form of financial support through your partnership with the government agency, the State Bureau of Statistics? What was the kind of support that you got from the Bureau? That's number one. Number two, what's the future plan in terms of consolidating on the partnership that you already have, your lab and the Bureau? The third question is, we are interested in the way you build capacity at your lab, and your lab, even though it's not institutional based, not based in the, so how do you sustain the capacity that the resources, human resources that you are developing? How do you sustain them? How do you also use them in a way? I hope my questions are clear.
Thank you, sir. I have your 3 questions and I'll quickly respond to each of them. We did not receive any financial support from our local partners, the Kaduna State Bureau of Statistics, the National Bureau of Statistics, and the Kaduna State Ministry for Business and Innovation. What we heard from them specifically from the National Bureau of Statistics, we had them provide us with technical expertise because they are at the national level, and we wanted them to be involved in the entire process. So we worked with them from the very beginning through to the end, because we wanted them to take ownership of the data. We didn't want to conduct our research and take the data to them. So we wanted them to be part of the entire process so that they can take ownership. That's for the National Bureau, and also for Kaduna State Bureau. It was the same thing, because Kaduna State Bureau feeds the National Bureau of Statistics with the state data. So we wanted it to be data from the state to the national. So we wanted ownership. So they provided us with technical expertise. So they told us about what constituted their own national states acceptable data, and they provided us with all of those capacity, technical support that we needed to get that done to be acceptable by the state and by the national. For the MBIT, they also provided us with technical support. They had all the register of businesses in the state. So they provided all the register of businesses in the state, and they also provided us with technical support. So there was no financial support from partners. Then our future plan to consolidate partnership. We have an established partnership with the ministries and the bureau, and that was impacted by the change in leadership. But of course, because we have already built that existing relationship, we are leveraging on that to renew our relationship with the new leaders. So we've had two meetings with them already to establish relationship, and then we're hoping that we will be able to continue on that relationship going forward. And on sustainability of our human resource, I would like to say that following this project that we did, we have developmental project that we conducting, and because of this project that we did, we have built capacities of our team so much that in our development projects for other community-led development projects, we've incorporated research and development as a very vital component of every single project we do that are, I'm not talking about research project, I'm talking about development projects. So we incorporated research into those projects. And the last one we had was the Arewa Girls Forum, and we had CLEDA-LISA, which conducted the baseline survey and analyzed all the findings. CLEDA-LISA did the entire research for that project. So this is something that we have incorporated into our organization from the learning that we have gotten from this project. So yeah, we're looking forward to sustaining that, and going forward, we're also looking at building more capacity to ensure that all our projects have statistics and data embedded in them. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And I see that Jensen Fedokun has his hand raised. Did you have a question? Okay. And you're muted.
Hello.
Yes.
Law. Mine is not a question, it's just to advise Daniel. First, let me congratulate you for this research. However, change of leadership should not be a major issue if you have not been relating only with the top man, the man on the top. if you have been relating with the permanent secretaries, the directors, they will be the one to carry your report to the new man that is just coming. Government is a continuum. So I will advise that you go back to those people you have been relating with, and you'll be able to get through with the new man in charge. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great point. That's a great point. Okay, I think Eric probably had to jump off, and we are at the end of our hour. So I think we'll go ahead and end for today. Thank you everyone for coming to our meeting. We will be back in about 2 weeks on a Wednesday, and I believe it will be an hour later than this that we'll have our next Zoom meeting. So thank you everyone for coming today, and look for the notes. We'll send those out. All right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
and bye. Thank you so much, everyone.